Anything remote, infrared, like a TV remote. I mean, anything with a battery and a connection, a remote connection, in any type of way where it reaches the outside of that device is hackable or has been hacked.
We're talking about the Internet of Things. We're talking about putting chips into physical objects and connecting them to the internet. And what that does is create a lot of data. And that data can be used for convenience, for efficiency, but it can also be a very attractive nuisance for hackers. And it also doesn't receive privacy protection under the Fourth Amendment in the way that you and I think, would like to see it protected.
What big tech has created in surveillance capitalism is more pervasive and more intrusive than anything you could ever possibly. It's more pervasive than Marcus Wolf of the Stasi or Beria of the KGB,
yes,
of the NKVD could ever possibly
imagine. Or anything
imagine.
that happens in contemporary North Korea.
Yes, exactly.
Samsung issued this updated warning, or whatever you want to call it, on their products that this may be happening. Sort of an ominously worded document, right?
It was a little ominous. It said, be careful about what you say in front of the television. Try not to have any sensitive conversations in your living room because the TV is going to be recording what you say and sending that data off to another company.
People still close the bathroom stall when you go into the toilet. You still close the shower curtain. We still do lots of things that we expect to have a privacy, but yet people with a regular phone put it on their nightstand and are surprised that the microphone is listening.
They didn't break in. They didn't need to, because you let them in. A few smart upgrades, a voice assistant here, a connected TV there, maybe even a charger that seemed a little too convenient. You clicked I agree without reading the fine print, because everyone does. But in that moment, you didn't just make your life easier, you opened the door to something else. Now your home runs on data, and it's not just collecting yours, it's sending it somewhere. Quietly, constantly, without ever asking again. So think about it. How many devices inside your house are actually spying on you? The answer is more than you think.
Anything remote, infrared, like a TV remote that goes for projectors, audio devices, ceiling fans, very simple stuff, along with access control badges, anything sub-gigahertz, like key fobs or remote controls for anything, parking gates, so much.
Everything.
You think you're alone in your living room, while the TV's on standby and the remote is just sitting there on the couch. But what if that remote, the 1 inches from your face, is constantly collecting data? In 2015, Samsung quietly dropped a line into their smart TV manual. Not a bug warning, not a battery tip, a sentence that read, if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted. They weren't warning you about a glitch. They were admitting the remote could hear everything. It was a disclosure, legal protection for behavior they knew would raise questions. And it did. The story exploded after The Guardian reported on it. The Electronic Privacy Information Center, or EPIC, filed a complaint to the FTC. They accused Samsung of collecting user voice data without proper disclosure or consent. And the EFF went further, comparing it to something straight out of 1984. Their warning? Don't talk about personal matters near your television, ever. And what can happen if you leave your remote lying around?
Anything with a battery and a connection, a remote connection, in any type of way where it reaches the outside of that device is hackable or has been hacked.
Anything remote and connected to a network, just like your TV remote, can be easily hacked to get all your personal data. Even if you try disabling the mic in your remote, for a second, it looks like it worked. The voice command icon disappears. But that's just for show. The system doesn't stop listening. It just stops responding to you. What you've disabled isn't the microphone, it's the trigger. The hardware stays active. The logs keep building. And the light? It's just for show. And that's the part they don't advertise. Because this wasn't just Samsung. Most smart remotes now include wake word detection, which means the mic is always on standby. So ask yourself, if a device can hear you when you're not speaking to it, who's it really designed to serve? And also, what could happen when the same power isn't tucked behind your TV, but sitting in your pocket? Yes, we're talking about your mobile phone. It's the one device that never leaves your side. Your alarm clock, your camera, your bank, your map. But underneath all that convenience is the most advanced tracking system you've ever owned. And you carry it around willingly. You don't need to open an app. You don't even need to touch it. Your phone is collecting data all the time, whether it's in your hand, on your nightstand, or stuffed in a drawer. Here's what your phone is doing while you're asleep.
So what happens to those recordings?
Well, we've been doing a study following our device, a Google Mobile Services phone, any Android running Google Mobile Services, which is all of them, or an iPhone. And at about 3 a.m., we're seeing a spike of data leaving the phone, about 50 megabytes. That is basically that phone dialing home to the mothership, exporting all of your goings on,
All your pillow talk is going to
Pillow
Mountain View.
Talk, whatever.
We think of our phones as passive tools, but they're not. They watch, they listen, they predict. People often joke, "My phone heard me," when an ad pops up seconds after a private conversation. But when thousands of people experience this, maybe it's not a joke at all. And it's not just what you say. Your movements, your browsing, your app habits, everything builds a detailed fingerprint of your behavior. A digital version of you, constantly being tracked, bought, and sold without your permission. That's why I use Incogni, a subscription service that removes your personal data from hundreds of data brokers that collect and resell it. The process is super simple. You create an account using only the personal info you want removed. Then, you give Incogni the right to act on your behalf. After that, you can sit back and relax. Incogni will do the rest, automatically contacting data brokers and making sure your info is wiped from their systems. I've personally seen my data removed, and with how aggressive tracking has become, it's one of the easiest steps you can take today to protect your digital life. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Use code ADVICE at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. But tracking is just the beginning, because the next threat? It doesn't need your data, just a charging cable.
What is this? Just out of curiosity.
This looks like something I would use to charge my phone. With a charger, yeah.
And that's, so I have every single charger you can imagine in here,
Okay.
all of them, right? So actually what this is, the reason why I have this little orange thing here is because there is no way I'd ever know that this was a charger. That this was not a charger without this orange tag, because it is that perfect. So the NSA is selling these for $20,000. So this is a charger that will work. I could hand this to you and say, hey, here's my charger, man, or replace yours, right? Whatever you got plugged in, I'm sure I have a replacement for that.
Okay.
You bring this home, it could act like a charger forever, but as soon as this plugs in, inside of this tiny little plastic right here, inside of this is a Wi-Fi chip, a mini computer, and this thing emulates a keyboard and can type at 860 characters per second.
That's what makes it so dangerous. The OMG cable works even after it's unplugged, using a tiny onboard chip that can transmit commands over Wi-Fi. It doesn't just act like a hacker tool, it is one. And yes, they're sold online, to anyone.
I'm gonna plug this into USB-C, which, you can pick whatever one you want. So that's plugged into USB-C. This side, I'm not gonna connect to anything. I could charge my phone with it, I could do whatever I want with it, but what I'm gonna do is on my phone, I'm gonna go to Wi-Fi, I'm gonna click OMG, now I just created a network from this cable that's plugged in. It's not plugged in.
We don't have an OMG network here.
No.
Okay.
Nope, and this is not plugged into anything.
Okay.
So this is creating a Wi-Fi network.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to it in my browser, and then I have an interface here that I can connect with. So I'm gonna go in the file menu, I'm gonna load payload 1. There we go. All right, so ready? Now I'm gonna hit build and run, which I could be very far away from the computer. This is just showing an example of it. See how fast that's typing?
What's it doing?
It's typing PBD
Get
podcast
outta
and
here.
0 day was here.
Get out of
So that could have been anything.
Yeah.
That could have been a malicious command. That could have been a virus that it downloaded. That could have been anything that I wanted it to be. And I have now remote control over this cable that if I plug right into my phone, watch, plug it into my phone,
Charges.
charging. You would have no idea that this implant is in your house.
MG, the creator of the cable, confirmed that modified versions have been tested on iPhones, Androids, Windows laptops, and even car diagnostic systems. The attack happens instantly, often before you realize anything's off. And if a single cable can do that much damage, what do you think a Wi-Fi connected light bulb is capable of? You screw it into a lamp, you open an app, suddenly your room is bathed in blue light, synced to your playlist, and dimmed just right for the evening. That's what smart bulbs promise, comfort and convenience. But what most people miss is that every one of those bulbs is also a potential entry point into your home network. A light bulb shouldn't need Wi-Fi, but when it does, hackers start paying attention. Watch how a standard smart bulb can be hijacked to monitor your network.
This light bulb can monitor your Wi-Fi network and steal your password. Check this out. Now I'm going to put this bulb inside of a regular lamp. And it turns on like a regular bulb. As soon as the bulb receives power, it creates a Wi-Fi network that I can connect to. And here's the panel. I can choose from other Wi-Fi networks. I'm going to choose my own, select the monitor option, and now we have a bunch of what appears to be random data. I can download this file and I'll show you what that can do. There are many things you can do with this bulb, including determining if someone is home with Bluetooth Low Energy, cracking your Wi-Fi password, or in my case, showing an insecure camera stream that runs over HTTP. I extracted the PCAP file into a tool called Wireshark. And now you see there's frames. Don't get intimidated. Watch what happens next. Constructing all them frames from Wireshark now shows a live view of my backyard because the camera is transferring over HTTP.
It doesn't just pull data from your Wi-Fi. It can analyze traffic, log what's happening in your system, and even act as a launchpad for further attacks. And the worst part? It still dims on command, still changes color when you say so, all while quietly cracking the digital lock behind your firewall. In 2020, Checkpoint Research exposed a critical vulnerability in Philips Hue smart bulbs. They showed that by compromising a single bulb using the Zigbee protocol, an attacker could infect the bulb, jump into the lighting hub, and from there, into the user's phone, and finally into the Wi-Fi router itself. From a mood light to a full network access in just a few silent hops. And the scary part is, most smart bulbs often ship with weak or no encryption. Some even use outdated wireless protocols and retain your network credentials. Most brands favor easy setup over actual security, which means your light bulb might be flashing signals to someone who isn't you. And if a light bulb, something that's only supposed to glow, can be turned into a backdoor, what do you think is possible with a screen that sees, hears, and streams everything? It starts the second you turn it on. Not just the show, but the tracking. Your smart TV doesn't just know what you're watching, it knows how long you hovered before you clicked. It knows when you paused, it knows when you walked away, and that's not a bug. That's the whole point. In one chilling demo, a cybersecurity expert pulls up a seemingly harmless smart TV, but behind that clean interface, there's a lot more going on. The smart TV has a webcam and a microphone, he explains, and it can be turned on without you ever knowing. He moves through the settings, revealing just how easily hackers can hijack the TV's hardware, turning it into a surveillance device aimed directly at your living room.
What's really eye-opening here is you watch your TV, but with this hack, your TV can watch you. Show us how that works.
So one of the things that we were able to do with the Smart TV platform was actually abuse the browser to the extent that we could actually gain access to the camera that's built into the TV.
Right.
And so what we can prove here is that with a little bit of extra code, we can turn the camera on in your browser.
Wow.
And while this is evident to you right here because we've designed it that way, this is something that we can do invisibly and actually have the camera running behind the web page that you're looking at.
So what this means is I could be sitting here watching TV from my bedroom, and you could be anywhere in the world looking at this image of me watching.
Yep, I could be sitting on a laptop in a cafe in Paris, and as long as I have a network connection, I'd be able to get into your TV and access the camera.
The kind of scary things about it is that it doesn't actually give any indication that the camera's on, and there's no little LED that shows up when the camera's on. So it could actually be watching you and you never even know.
The backbone of it all is something called automatic content recognition, or ACR. It doesn't just log what you stream, it scans everything on your screen, from Netflix and YouTube to HDMI inputs. It fingerprints each frame, tracks how long you watch, when you pause, what you skip, and quietly sends it all out. Not just to the TV brand, but to third-party servers, advertisers, and data brokers paying for access to your habits. Most of the time, it's running in the background, buried behind settings you've probably never touched. In 2017, Vizio was fined $2.2 million by the FTC for secretly using ACR to spy on over 11 million TVs. Users weren't warned. The setting was enabled by default, and the data? Sold, ripped straight from your living room without a word. Today, many modern TVs still ship this way. Some even include cameras and mics buried behind menus with vague labels like experience enhancement.
If your smart TV has a camera on it, or like the new Facebook Portal, which is a TV-like device, it's a smart screen with a camera on the front of it. Many of the Alexa devices sold by Amazon also have cameras on the front of those. So whether it's a TV or just a device with a screen, yeah, you want to make sure that that little slider is covering the camera and that the microphones are also physically covered. Now, the new Alexa devices sold by Amazon have what they call privacy protections built in. You want to make sure that you are covering your device camera with tape yourself and that you're covering those microphone holes. If you want this to be truly offline, also make sure you unplug it.
And most people never turn them off because they never know they're on. And if the screen you trust can betray you that easily, what about something even more invisible? Something hiding inside the walls. They're built into hotels, airports, cafes, and even brand new homes. USB wall outlets, sleek, modern, and always right where you need them. You think they're there to give your phone a quick boost, but sometimes they're doing something else entirely. These ports are capable of transferring data as well as power, and attackers have figured out exactly how to exploit that. The cybersecurity world has a name for this: juice jacking. A method where malware is secretly delivered through a USB port when you plug in your device. Once connected, it can install spyware, skim data, even take remote control of your phone, all while it's charging like normal. Back in 2016, the SANS Institute and the NSA issued early warnings about it, mostly in relation to shady public charging stations. But in 2023, the FBI made it official, releasing public advisories urging travelers to avoid USB outlets in airports, hotels, shopping centers, anywhere a port could have been tampered with.
Any public place where somebody could have tampered with a USB port, just remember that's a data that has a potential for data transfer, not just power transfer.
Yeah, your local coffee shop or something.
Anywhere. Power outlets good, USB outlets not so much. Avoid them.
And these ports don't just deliver power, they're a potential backdoor. All it takes is a modified outlet with altered hardware, and your phone could be giving up its contacts, location, saved passwords without a single warning screen. And now that same attack vector is moving into private homes. Some smart USB wall outlets sold online come preloaded with malicious firmware. Once installed behind your wall panel, they're almost impossible to detect and there's no way to unplug. But not every threat hides in hardware. Some don't need to be installed in your wall. Just one click and they're already inside your device. You click a link in private mode, but private doesn't mean anonymous. In that moment, you might be inviting more than a video to play. It could trigger keyloggers and trackers to slip quietly into your device. And this isn't hypothetical. Researchers from Norton Labs and McAfee have documented cases of malware distribution through adult sites, often disguised as video enhancements or innocuous plugins. And once installed, these programs can remain hidden for weeks, tracking your keystrokes and browsing history, even in incognito tabs. That private moment can quickly become a public record. Even John McAfee reveals how hackers, through sophisticated scripts embedded in adult websites, can silently download Android browsers into your systems and wipe out your bank account.
Every pornography site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have keystroke locking software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay? Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you now, because that's a click-through, you clicked, you did something. You said, yes, oh, good, yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes. Now, people pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No, they're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated. Zero balance. Or your identity will be stolen. Or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied. Or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if, maybe you're saying something to a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you. Maybe they can blackmail you. If they get lucky, you might be a United States congressman or a senator. In which case, now not only do they have money, they have power.
According to a 2019 study in New Media and Society, a staggering 93% of adult sites share user data with third parties, even when users believe they're undercover in privacy mode. These aren't just ads. Many of them deploy aggressive JavaScript that can deliver keylogging software and tracking pixels without requiring any clicks or downloads. You type your password, private messages, banking details, and it's all being logged, permanently. Android users are especially vulnerable. Certain browsers permit silent downloads, meaning that JavaScript can bypass prompts and install components instantly. All you need to do is visit. One click and everything you type, account info, messages, personal searches, could be scooped up in the background. The result is a trail of digital breadcrumbs that leaves you exposed well after you've left the website. You thought you bought convenience, but what you really got was a network of quiet observers, each one logging, syncing, transmitting. This isn't paranoia, it's the new baseline. In 2025, privacy is something you have to fight to keep. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Quick reminder, if you want to protect your personal data, check out Incogni. The link is in the description.